Good morning students, welcome back to our next class. Today I would like to explain Grom's fluid theorem. This is the last theorem in the unit 2. Okay, see the statement of Grom's fluid theorem. Let x1 is to so on xn be a linearly independent subset of inner product space X. Then set E1 into so on En is an orthonormal sequence in the X for n is equal to 1 to so on. Span of E1 into so on En is equal to span of x1 into so on xn. See the statement? Let set x1 x2 so on elements x1 x2 so on be a linearly independent subset of inner product space X. Then set E1 into so on En, set E1 E2 so on is an orthonormal sequence in X. Orthonormal sequence in X, comma, for n is equal to 1 to so on. Span of E1 E2 so on En is equal to span of x1 x2 so on xn. This is the Grom's fluid process statement. So here x1 x2 so on be linearly independent subset of inner product space X. Then E1 into so on En is orthonormal sequence. Then what we have to show that? Then span of E1 into so on is equal to span of x1 x2 so on xn. Right. See the proof ma? Suppose sequence xi is linearly independent set. Suppose sequence xi, instead of writing every element, here we are writing simply xi is linearly independent set. Linearly independent set. Now from this we are taking single element. Then x1 single element is also linearly independent. Then x1 is linearly independent. Then x1 is linearly independent. Linearly independent means to say we have to take the linear combination with these elements. Then all scalars must be zeros. Only one element is there. Then multiplication of linear combination with these elements goes to 0 as x1 is non-zero. If this x1 non-zero, then obviously multiplication of two elements, one is non-zero means to say obviously remaining is 0. So next line is let v1 is equal to x1, then v1 non-zero, let v1 is equal to x1, then v1 is non-zero as x1 is non-zero. Similarly, you have to copy the notes from the videos. So next line is then v1 not equal to 0 since x1 non-zero. Okay, x1 non-zero, so automatically v1 is also non-zero. Here v is the small v only, not capital V terms. Now based on this, define E1. Next line, define E1 is equal to x1 by norm x1, x1 by norm x1. Next we have to calculate norm E1 value. Then norm E1 is equal to, if you are applying the norm x1 by norm x1, value goes to 0. So E1 is one term, x1 is one term. So linear combination of this thing and this thing is same. So span of E1 is equal to span of x1. Our next line is under span of E1 is equal to span of x1. Span means to say all possible linear combinations only when variable is there. So that the span of E1 is equal to span of x1. Next we will take V2 and will show in that the set elements are span of E1 is equal to span of x1s are not. So we will take the next V2. Let V2 is equal to x2 minus inner product of x2 comma E1 into E1. x2 comma E1 into E1. Next line, we have to calculate inner product of V2 comma E1. Next line, thus inner product of V2 comma E1. Okay, right. Substitute V2 value x2 minus inner product x2 comma E1 into E1 comma E1. Now here we have to write separate inner product, then inner product of x2 comma E1 minus inner product of this term x2 comma E1, inner product of remaining terms E1 comma E1, inner product. Okay, now to the simplifications. We already know inner product of the same variable is 1. Nothing but the definition is orthonormal set. So our next line is inner product of x2 comma E1 minus inner product of x2 comma E1 into value goes to 1. Okay. Once this is the one, then inner product of x2 E1, so that value goes to 0. So what is LHS? Inner product of V2 comma E1 is equal to 0. Mean to say these two are orthogonal vectors. So V2 is orthogonal to E1. Now based on this V2, we have to define E2 value. Define E2. Define E2 is equal to V2 by norm V2. V is the small v only, no? V2 by norm V2. So that what we will get from here? Norm E2 value is 1 again. Next line is so that norm E2 is equal to 1 and E2 is orthogonal to E1. How can we say that it is orthogonal to E1 and E2 is orthogonal to E1? How can we say that it is orthogonal to E1? Generally, orthonormal definition for all I comma ej belongs to x. Inner product of ei comma ej is equal to 1 if both elements are equal, 0 if both elements are not equal. So same thing we used already here. Inner product of e1 comma e1 value 1. So automatically with another element if you are taking, that inner product goes to 0. 0 mean to say that two vectors are orthogonal vectors. Okay. So here our next line is, so that norm e2 is equal to 1 and e1 orthogonal to e2. So from this we give one conclusion. From this we give one conclusion. These two elements are orthogonal, then the set elements are called orthonormal set. Mean to say, therefore, set e1 comma e2 is an orthonormal set. Is an orthonormal set. Similarly, now we define set V3. Previously, V1, it has only one element. At that time, norm we calculated. Then norm x is equal to non-zero. Then using that, we took E1. E1 is equal to V1 by norm V1. Then norm E1 value 1. So span of E1 is equal to span of x1. Later we took V2, that is equal to x2 minus inner product of x2 comma E1 into E1. Later we have to calculate inner product of V2 comma E1 value. After doing the simplifications we got 0. Therefore V2 is orthogonal to E1. Now using V2 we define E2, that is V2 by norm V2. Again calculate norm E2 value, that is 1. And if you are observing, these two vectors are orthogonal. Once the two vectors are orthogonal, then the set E1 E2 is orthonormal set. Similarly, we will define V3. Similarly, V3 is equal to, now we will take V3, using that we will calculate E3 value. Okay. Now V3 is equal to x3 minus inner product of x3 comma E1 into E1 minus inner product of x3 comma E2 into E2. Okay. Then V3 is non-zero. Then V3 is non-zero. Because E1, E2, x3 all are non-zeros. So V3 also non-zero. Next we have to calculate inner product of V3 comma E1. What we have to calculate? Inner product of E3 comma V1 value. V3 comma E1. Okay. Inner product of E3 first variable comma this one. So x3 comma E1. Okay. Next, second variable, already having the inner product, write that term as it is. Remaining inner product for remaining variables E1 comma E1 minus x3 comma E2, inner product E2 comma E1. Now observe the values now. x3 E1, this entire thing goes to 0. Right. How it is 0 is inner product of x3 comma e1 minus x3 comma e1. According to this definition, when two variables are same, then inner product is 1. Now the second one is inner product of x3 comma e2. By applying this definition, these two elements are different, so that value goes to 0. But this box part only seems part for your understanding purpose, no need to write in the exams. Okay. Now minus plus and last one is 0, so that inner product of v3 comma e1 goes to 0. Similarly, if you are calculating v3 comma e2 also goes to 0. Also, that is second value is no need to calculate now. Directly we have to write it. v3 comma e2 goes to 0. So therefore, once the inner product is 0, mean to say that the two vectors are orthogonal to each other. v3 is orthogonal to e1 and v3 is orthogonal to e2 from this second one. Okay. Now using the v3 we can define e3 value. Okay. Define e3. That is our next line. Using v3 only we define e3. So our next line is define e3 is equal to v3 by norm v3. So from the above steps we observed norm e3 value we have to calculate. We get obviously 1. So first we took v1 is only one variable. Next v2 is using that x2 minus something. Next v3 is equal to x3 minus something. Simplified. So that we got e1 values, e2 values, e3 values. Continuing this process, we can define vn is equal to v1 only x1, v2 only x2, v3 is equal to x3. Similarly, vn is equal to xn minus remaining terms we have to take it in the summation. Okay. So our next line is continuing the above process. Continuing the above process. So we get vn term. Vn is equal to, we define vn is equal to xn minus summation k is equal to 1 to n minus 1. Summation k is equal to 1 to n minus 1. Inner product of xn comma ek into ek. So if you are substituting n is equal to 1, only x1, n is equal to x2 minus 1 term, when n is equal to 3, x2 minus 2 terms, like this. So in the above steps also we know that v1 non-zero, v2 non-zero. So vn is non-zero vector, vn is non-zero vector, and it is orthogonal to, we observed in the above lines, and it is orthogonal to which vectors? e1, e2, so on, en. Okay. We observed v1 is orthogonal to e1. Next line, v2 is orthogonal to e1 and e2. Like vn is orthogonal to e1, e2, so on, en minus 1. Now we define using the Vn, En value. Okay. Now we define using the Vn, En value. Let En is equal to Vn by norm Vn. Okay. Then what we will get in the next line? So that norm En is equal to 1. Norm En is equal to 1. So in the above lines we observed thus set E1, E2, so on, En is orthonormal set. Next, span also we observed span of these things is equal to x terms. So our next line is conclusion of the theorem, and span of E1, E2, so on, En is equal to span of x1, x2, so on, xn. Hence, proof. This since part is no need to write in the exams. With this theorem, our second unit is completed successfully with all the theorem proofs. Next, I would like to start our next unit 3. See, our next unit is unit 3. Our first topic is series related to orthonormal sequence and sets. So in this topic, no theory, nothing. Directly you are having the first theorem, convergence theorem. This theorem having the 3 points. Okay, first I would like to explain this theorem now. See the first theorem, convergence theorem. Name is convergence. Statement: let set Ek be the orthonormal sequence in a Hilbert space H. Full stop. Let k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k Ek be the series for the scalars alpha 1, alpha 2, so on. Then we have to show the following conditions. Our first one is the series summation k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k Ek converges if and only if the series summation k equal to 1 to infinity modulus of alpha k whole square converges. Second point is, if summation k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k Ek converges, then the coefficient alpha k are the Fourier coefficients inner product x comma Ek, where x is the sum of k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k Ek. Hence, x is equal to summation k equal to 1 to infinity inner product x comma Ek into Ek is representation of any vector x belongs to H. Our next point and last point in this theorem, for any x belongs to H, summation k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k Ek converges. In this, out of 3 points, first I will explain our first one. What is the first one? The series summation k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k Ek converges if and only if the series summation k equal to 1 to infinity modulus of alpha k whole square converges. See the proof. Let Sn equal to proof our first bit. Let Sn equal to, here we are taking alpha 1 even linear combinations, alpha 1 even plus alpha 2 E2, so on, plus alpha n En, and sigma n equal to plus modulus of alpha 2 square plus so on plus modulus of alpha n square. Okay. Similarly, we have to take Sm also. Let Sm is equal to alpha 1 E1 plus alpha 2 E2 so on. Ending number is alpha m Em. We are taking next line alpha n m Em for any m. For any m. Okay, right. Our next line is assume that n greater than m, then assume that n greater than m, then okay, Sn minus Sm value we have to calculate. So up to m terms cancel here. So m plus 1 to n terms are left. So alpha m plus 1 E m plus 1 plus alpha m plus 2 E m plus 2 so on alpha n E n ending numbers. So up to m terms are cancelled. Next calculate norm of Sn minus Sm whole square. Next line is norm of Sn minus Sm whole square is equal to, so this entire value is this thing alpha m plus 1 E m plus 1 plus so on plus alpha n E n whole square. Clear? Since Ek is orthonormal sequence, it is given in the statement, we have to write the definition of orthonormal. So our next line is since Ek is an orthonormal sequence, Ek is an orthonormal sequence, then we have to apply the definition of orthonormal, comma, we have, see the definition, no? Inner product of Ei comma Ej is equal to, so you already know this definition. 1 if I is equal to j, 0 if I not equal to j. Okay. Next line, by the Pythagorean relation, see here we have to apply Pythagorean relation. By the Pythagorean relation, this line can be written as LHS same, the RHS we have to write the scalars and vectors separately. Norm Sn minus Sm whole square is equal to, scalars is here alpha, so modulus of alpha m plus 1 square into norm Em plus 1 square. Similarly, remaining terms plus the last one is modulus of alpha n square into norm En square. So by using the Pythagorean relation, it can be written as like this. Now we have to substitute here norm Em plus 1 whole square values. See now, we know the formula is norm x square in terms of x comma x. Similarly, in place of x, if you are writing Em plus 1 En terms, what will happen? Inner product of En comma En. Now, if you are observing this thing, if the elements are same, then inner product value goes 1 mean to say this entire value goes to 1. This thing is also 1. Okay. See, by using that values, we have to write our next line is modulus of alpha m plus 1 whole square into 1 plus so 1 plus modulus of alpha n square into 1. We already took above in the above lines what is the sigma n modulus of alpha 1 square plus alpha 2 square so on alpha n square. Similarly, sigma m value subtraction of the two gives sigma n minus sigma m, this one. Okay. So here modulus norm Sn minus Sm whole square is equal to sigma n minus sigma m. So sigmas are scalars. This entire value gives a certain scalar, makes a certain constant, sending the square root that side. Finally, norm Sn minus Sm is less than or equal to certain constant to mean to say 1 is called Cauchy sequence. So thus here next line is Sn is a Cauchy sequence in the H. So here thus Sn is a Cauchy sequence in H if and only here sigmas are constants. Constants are in the real line, so that the sequence sigma n is also Cauchy sequence if and only sigma n is a Cauchy sequence. Sigma n is a Cauchy sequence in real line R. Okay. So hence H is the Hilbert space, R is the real lines. These two are complete. So every Cauchy sequence is converges. So that Sn is converges and the sigma n is also converges. See our next line. Sigma H is the Hilbert space. Hilbert space is nothing but the complete inner product space. So that H complete real line is always complete space. So that our next line is, since H and R are complete, according to the definition of completeness, every Cauchy sequence is convergent. In the H Cauchy sequence is Sn, in the R Cauchy sequence is sigma n. These two are converges. So that implies sequence Sn is converges if and only sigma n is also converges. Okay. Now we can represent these things in the summation form. Then we got our required condition. See the first point, the series summation k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k converges. So Sn is nothing but the series. Next alpha sigmas is nothing but scalars alphas. So in the next line we got our required condition. We will write the conclusion. Same things we have to represent in the summation form. See the last line. Hence summation k equal to 1 to infinity alpha k ek converges. Alpha k ek converges if and only if summation k equal to 1 to infinity modulus of alpha k square converges. Modulus of alpha k square converges. So this is nothing but Sn. This is nothing but sigma n. So this is our required first part. No? Remaining 2 points will discuss you in the next class.